Hello, the filmTValf production. We are producing films of history and nature and cultural landscapes. Hallo, wir produzieren wieder einen Film zum Rhine Country, Germany. Hello, here one of the most fascinating wine-growing area in Germany, the Middle Rhine Valley. Before about 2000 years, the Romans occupied the middle of Europe. Highly thick, endless and dark forests had covered the whole land. The Romans introduced their culture, including wine growing, in the whole warm region in middle of Europe. The result is the following film. Standing before the former entry.
...60 Jahre alten Tradition. Das heißt moderne Ausbau, Holzfass, dazu ganz moderne Ofen.
The wine-growing areas in Germany. More details in the main movie Wine Country Germany in YouTube. Hello! In the context of our series about history and historical landscapes in Europe, we present a docu about the wine country Germany.
Germany, a historical wine country in the middle of Europe. The German wine regions are the most northerly in the world. The main wine-producing climate lies below the 15th parallel, which runs through the regions Rheingau, the south of Upper Middle Rhine Valley and Mosel. The wines are all produced around rivers, mainly the Rhine and its tributaries, often sheltered by mountains. Cultivated wine growing started with the Romans about 2000 years ago. During history, the wine production was formerly in the hand of emperors, princes, knights, and in the hand of the church, for example in monasteries. Wine has previously been a drink of the privileged cultural society. The film presents as an example of the other wine regions some impressions of the Rhineland regions and the Palatinate. A typical aristocratic vineyard estate located in a Riesling grape area. Johannisberg Castle in the Rheingau. In the Middle Ages, a monastery of wine production and later a castle of the famous Prince Metternich in the 19th century. Today the wine production is in private hands. The Upper Middle Rhine Valley nearby belongs to the UNESCO World Heritage. In general, the most of the wine regions in Germany represent highly fascinating historical landscapes based upon the cultivation by the Romans with their view to Italy. The rivers in the wine regions have significant microclimate effects to moderate the temperature. The soil is laid in the steep valleys to absorb the sun's heat and retain it overnight. The location and the grapes. German wine is primarily produced in the west of Germany, along the River Rhine and its tributaries, with the oldest plantations going back to the Roman era. Approximately 60% of the German wine productions is situated in the federal state of Rhineland-Palatinate, where 6 of the 13 wine-growing regions for quality wine are situated. Germany has about 105,000 hectares of vineyard. The total wine production is usually around 9 million hectoliters annually. White wine accounts for almost 2/3 of the total production. Here some pictures of steep vineyards on Rüdesheimer Berg. The region Niederwald Mountain, overlooking the River Rhine, the opposite riverside of Bingen. These vineyards are located in the southwestern part of the region Rheingau at a bend in the river, nearby the Ehrenfels ruin and the Mais Tower on a small island. These vineyards are planted with Riesling grapes, with some Spätburgunder, Pinot Noir, and produce some of the finest wines in Germany. Some further impressions of the Rheingau and the Middle Rhine Valley. Some remarks to the grape varieties in Germany. The wide range of grape varieties cultivated in Germany is impressive, from A as in Alba Longa to Z as in Zweigeltrebe. Of these, about 24 are of commercial importance, above all Riesling and Müller-Thurgau. These grapes account for some 43% of Germany's 105,000 hectares of vineyards. Nearly 12% of the vineyard area is planted with Spätburgunder or Pinot Noir, making it the most important red wine grape in Germany. Among the white grapes, Riesling is the premier grape variety in the Rheingau, about 80%, and Mosel region as well as Mittelrhein and Hessische Bergstraße. More than 20% are in Württemberg, the Pfalz, and around the Nahe River. Müller-Thurgau is the most important grape variety in Baden, Franken and Rheinhessen, as well as in Saale-Unstrut and Sachsen. Silvaner is a traditional variety in Rheinhessen and Franken. Muscat Silvaner is linked to the Baden region. Red grapes are cultivated as the Burgunder, the Pinot family in Baden, particularly the red wine grape Spätburgunder Pinot Noir. Red grape varieties are also important in Württemberg and in the Pfalz, with the Portuguese grape. Some impressions of the Palatinate area. In the Palatinate area, the vine is primarily located in the Rhine plain, combined with the foothills of the Palatinate forest to southeast. An extremely mild climate in Germany. Here are also growing several Mediterranean plants. We are in the region around the historical village Klingenmünster. We are visiting the vineyard Mattis with restaurant and vacation apartments. The vineyard Mattis. Vintner Elmer Mattis points from Landeck Castle down to the vineyards, to the village and to the vineyard Mattis. Vintner Ingo Mattis in the vineyard and in production.
Wir stehen hier an einem Rebstock, 60 Jahre alte Gewürztraminer-Reben. Hier in der Pfalz ist es uns möglich, durch das Klima wunderschön fruchtige Weißweine herzustellen und körperreiche Rotweine. Mit unserem Holzfassausbau versuchen wir die Brücke zu schlagen, ein bisschen zwischen Moderne und Tradition. Das heißt moderner Ausbau im Holzfass und dazu einen ganz modernen Rotwein.
Wine is produced by traditional and modern methods. We look into an historical wine cellar. The idyllic restaurant and wine bar Mattis at the Wine Route 66 in Klingenmünster. A much frequented place for tourists. Regularly, house concerts are presented. Elmar Mattis is also an official tourist guide of the history of Palatinate.
Das August-Becker-Denkmal wurde 1907 als Erinnerung an den Schriftsteller und Heimatdichter errichtet. Das Gemeindehaus wurde 1765 als Rathaus auf der Bach erbaut. Heute befindet sich im ehemaligen protestantischen Schulhaus das August-Becker-Museum, der hier geboren wurde.
Here Elmar presents the history of the pretty village of wine. Klingenmünster with one of the oldest monasteries in the middle of Europe.
Die Blütezeit des Klosters war von 850 bis ins 13. Jahrhundert. Mönche bewirtschafteten das Land, bauten Fronhöfe und legten Siedlungen an. Hier befinden wir uns im Bereich des Kreuzganges.
Conclusion. Germany is placed as the 8th largest wine-producing country in the world. Especially the wine regions are embedded in a long history with highly cultural developments. The numerous old buildings of history, the castles, forts, monuments and monasteries are witness of this colorful history.